Today, we're going to talk about a concept that could honestly change the way you think about getting things done in your business. It's called the friction tax. The whole idea is that real, sustainable momentum, well, it comes from getting obstacles out of the way, not from just trying to push harder and harder. Let's really dig into what that means. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever had one of those days, or maybe it's been a whole week, where everything just feels heavier than it should? I mean, your to-do list isn't out of control, nothing is technically wrong, but every single task feels like a slog. For founders especially, that feeling is a huge red flag that something, somewhere, is draining your operational speed. And that feeling brings us right to the core idea for today. It's a statement that pretty much goes against every productivity hack you've ever heard. Momentum does not come from pushing harder. So what on earth does that actually mean for how you run your business? Let's find out. Okay, so to really get why pushing harder isn't the answer, we first have to talk about a trap that almost all of us fall into. I'm talking about the myth of more effort. It's that gut instinct we all have when things slow down. You know what I'm talking about, right? The second things feel stuck, our default reaction is to just double down. We think, okay, if I just apply more pressure, more urgency, more pure force of will, something's got to give. We treat our business like a car stuck in the mud, thinking the only answer is to just floor it. But here's the big shift in thinking. Real, lasting momentum, it almost never starts with more force. It actually begins when you remove friction. It starts with a feeling of relief, that feeling you get when a roadblock just vanishes and the path forward is suddenly clear. And to really understand this, we need to put a name to that invisible force that's slowing you down. And that's what we're calling the friction tax. So what is it exactly? Well, the friction tax is the sum total of all the energy you lose to all those little, annoying, repetitive points of resistance in your day-to-day work. And listen, this is not a personal failing. It's not about a lack of motivation. It's an architectural problem inside your systems. And you know, the sneaky thing about this tax is just how normal its symptoms look. I mean, think about it. Hunting for that one document. Again, scrolling through ancient messages to find one piece of information. That little pause you take before a task because you know the setup is a pain. Each one feels like a tiny paper cut, but put them all together and they're draining your energy and your speed all day long. And that's the absolute key here. This isn't just a minor annoyance. It is a literal, invisible tax being charged against your company's speed and momentum every single day. So what do we do about it? How do we fight this thing? Let's look at a quick case study that shows perfectly how removing just one tiny piece of drag can make a massive difference. I was working with a founder who was feeling this exact heaviness. Their workload wasn't crazy, but progress just felt sluggish. It was obvious that their operational speed had an invisible leak, but for the life of them, they couldn't figure out where it was coming from. Now, instead of some huge, complex overhaul, we made one tiny, almost unimpressive strategic change. We figured out that just searching for recurring documents was a major friction point. So we made a single shared folder for that info and set up a dead simple naming convention. That was it. That was a whole fix. And the effect? It was immediate. The very next week, tasks got started faster because that little moment of hesitation was gone. The entire week just flowed with less resistance. Momentum came flooding back, not because they pushed harder, but because one key piece of drag was strategically taken away. This little story, it demonstrates a principle that can scale across your entire business. It's not just about file folders. It's about a fundamental shift in how you lead, moving from forcing progress to actually architecting for flow. So you really have two competing mindsets here. On one side, you've got forced effort, all about pushing, intensity, basically fighting your day. But on the other side, you have the strategic goal, systemic smoothness. This is all about removing resistance, creating relief, and designing for ease so you can move with your day instead of against it. And this right here, this is the ultimate goal. See, your job as a founder isn't just to push the business forward. It's to build a business where moving forward is the natural state of being, by creating systems that quietly, almost invisibly, clear the path ahead of you. So the big question is, how do you actually do this? Well, the best part is you can start freeing your own momentum, like right now. You really don't need to burn everything to the ground and start from scratch. Just like in that story, real momentum often sparks from one small strategic system upgrade. The goal here is to start small and build from there. So here's your protocol.
First, just start paying attention. Become an observer of your own work. Look for those moments when your energy just dips. Notice when you let out a sigh of frustration, or when you have to search for something, or when you stall before starting a task. Then pick just one of those friction points. And finally, treat it like the critical design flaw that it is, and ask yourself, how can I design a simple fix for my future self?
So I'm going to leave you with this question to carry with you for the rest of the day. What's that one little pebble in your shoe? What's the one tiny point of friction you can remove right now to make tomorrow just a little bit smoother? Look, identifying these friction points, that's step one. But for founders who are really ready to stop pushing and start architecting their business for that systemic smoothness, getting some expert help is the logical next move. You can learn way more about building these kinds of frictionless systems at 365freedom.online. It's time to stop paying the friction tax and start building some real momentum.